So let's just get into this main event, man. This was like one of the ugliest fucking fights you could possibly imagine. Right from rip, round one, Oquendo's coming in head first. Not really even throwing, just kind of trying to muscle Herring around, get him to the ropes, maybe stuff some body shots in on the inside. You know, the first 5 rounds, there were spots where Herring could kind of get some space and get some work off and get some clean work off. But 90% of this fight was wrestling. 90% of this fight was Oquendo just sort of charging in recklessly. And this is a veteran fighter. This is a guy who's 37 years old. He's 31-7 with 19 knockouts. He's got a win over Johnny Gonzalez. If you know Johnny Gonzalez, the Mexican veteran. So to me, it was like, you know, this is a legitimate opponent. And to round it all off, the ending of the fight was weird as shit. Because he takes Oquendo takes another headbutt, or gives another headbutt, I should say. Another cut opens up over Herring's eye. You know, the doctor, the cornerman, Tony Weeks, they're all standing there. They're asking him, can he see? Can he see? He's saying, I can't see. Right? So for 20 minutes after him saying that he can't see, right? So they decide, okay, this fight's over. You can't see. You're not allowed to fight. Now they're arguing about, is this going to go to the cards? Is this a TKO win for Oquendo? Is this a no contest? Is this a DQ win for Herring? Is it a TKO win for Herring? What is this? Because initially, Tony Weeks had ruled that the headbutt was intentional. The first headbutt was intentional. So the initial headbutt causes a cut. He takes another headbutt that causes another cut. But because the first one was ruled intentional, became a DQ win for Herring, which doesn't entirely make sense to me. I feel like that's the perfect example of a fight that should have gone to the cards. Obviously, Herring would have won anyways. But there was so much about this fight that had a weird energy to it. And it, you know, they were calling Herring out pretty hard on the telecast. Like he was looking for a way out and all this and all that. I'm very hesitant to call fighters out for looking for a way out or for not having heart or for this or for that. You know, you get up in that ring and you want to go to war like that, you know, you got my respect. But it definitely, you know, it didn't seem like the eye was swollen shut. It seemed like he couldn't see because there was blood in his eye because he had 2 cuts. Now, that's a perfectly good reason to not be able to see, but that's fixable. That's a lot more fixable than, you know, a swollen shut eye or a broken orbital bone or, you know, an actual injury to the eye, which would be a more justifiable reason to stop the fight normally. And there are guys that have fought through broken orbital bones. So, obviously, you can't look at every fight and every fighter the same way. But it didn't seem to me like that was a fight that he was dying to continue taking part in. And why would he? You know, and to any normal person, it's like, well, this guy's not even really trying to punch me. He's just sort of charging in with his head. And he's busting my eyes up. You know, why am I going to take this? I can't, you know. But the reason why is because he's a world champion. And he's supposed to be able to find a way to make it happen. And he's supposed to not be the guy that looks for that out. And I'm not saying he looked for that out, but it kind of looked like he did. It kind of looked like he said, all right, enough is enough on this fight. Like, I've been taking headbutts from this guy for 7 rounds. Enough is enough. And all he had to say was, I can't see. And I believe that he couldn't see. I just don't, I think that was a fixable problem. So it was a really weird performance. I know he's supposed to fight Carl Frampton next. I just don't see how that's a fight that he can win. And I like him a lot, man. I feel bad. I'm sure there's a lot of people talking shit about this fight right now. And I like him. I think he's a good fighter. He's got good boxing skills. He's very long for a 130-pounder. But he's got no chance against somebody like Carl Frampton. After this, you know, he's clearly not adaptable. Once the fight is what it is, if he's not, you know, If it's not going how he wants it to go, based on this fight, he does not have the ability to kind of switch gears and change it up and this was not a fight where he was taking a lot of punishment. He was taking a lot of headbutts, but he was not taking, sustained punishment from punches. It was a lot of wrestling. He was getting pushed around. He was getting shoved to the floor. It was a dirty fight, for sure. It was a dirty fight, but it wasn't a brutal fight. So what happens if it's a brutal fight? What happens if it's really one-sided? Do you have that inner Arturo Gatti to say, like, this is my moment, like, the minute I start feeling him breathing, I come back? Or, once it starts not going your way, is that just how the fight is? I think he has a lot to answer, which most world champions don't have to answer those things because they've already answered them. This brings up a whole bunch of more questions with him, man. And Oquendo is a tough opponent, but he wasn't fighting in a winning manner. And it just didn't look like Herring had that extra gear to just keep the motherfucker on the outside behind the jab and just make it kind of a up on the toes night. Anytime Oquendo rushed in, he seemed perfectly willing to clinch, the same as Oquendo. So it would be hard to even blame Oquendo for all of the clinching, because I felt like once it got inside, Herring was fine to just sort of wrap up and wait for the ref to break them up. So I don't know what to think about this fight, but I don't think he has much of a chance against Frampton, to be honest with you. I think Frampton's just at a higher class. He's had to fight better fighters. He's had to adjust before. So we'll see if and when that fight happens. But this was a pretty disappointing, uninspired performance. And also, he had coronavirus. So who knows? And fighters got big pride. He's not going to come out and make excuses. He's not going to be like, oh, I had COVID, so that's why I fought bad. There's no way he would say that. Most fighters are not going to say shit like that. So I think that's a possibility, that he just didn't have the wind or the youthful energy to make it happen like that. I wish him nothing but the best. I really like watching him fight. That fight with Ito was tremendous. But this was a rough one, man. He's got some questions to answer.